So are you being busy or are you being productive? Because there's a very big difference. Busy is kind of like if you imagine a car, at the beginning of a race, it wants to get to a destination fast, but it's just sitting there doing a burnout because it's applying all its effort, in the wrong direction, which is downward, to the ground, which would be correct in most circumstances because that's going to help propel you forward. But it's not serving the vehicle, just doing that burnout. Like anybody who races, they know the proper way to launch. That's what it's called. So you can't, if you just give it 100% gas right off the bat. I'm speculating, because I've talked to people who've kind of done it. But if you give it 100% gas right off the bat, without applying the proper technique, you're going to spin your tires, not catch traction, and the person next to you might know how to do it better, might get that little bit of leverage and, win the race. So that equates to being busy. But being productive is when you hit the gas, you apply the proper technique, and you might burn out for a little while, but the end result is that you catch traction and take off. You might do a burnout, you might spin in place for a little while, but you gain traction and you take off down the road. So what does that mean in real life? Or how is that applicable to life? So imagine a person that's working so many different jobs, got 2-3 different jobs so that they can provide the lifestyle that they want for their family and themselves. But in doing that, you don't get to enjoy time with your family. You don't get to spend time with the ones you love. You don't get to do the things that you love. I would argue that that's being busy. Even though I understand that that's people's situations, and everybody's goal in life might not be to run their own business or get out of the rat race, which is perfectly fine. This is just from my perspective, because I don't believe the rat race serves anybody. But when you're busy, you're working all these jobs, putting all this effort into trading your hours for money, which at the end of the day, there's only 24 hours in a day. So there's only so much time you got to work. And you got a lot of rest and breaks in that as well. So if you're trading time for money, that's not a winning equation. So that's what being busy looks like. Now being productive is, putting in your effort or your work at work, and then once you get home, you're putting your time into your family, and then maybe when they go to sleep or they go do their own thing, now you're working on your business and trying to make your business come to life and be fruitful. Now in the beginning, just like in the race analogy that I used, in the beginning you might be spinning your wheels because you feel like you're not making any money, you're not getting traction, you're not getting customers, you're not getting the following. But then after a while, you put in so much effort, you catch that traction, and now you take off, and you're living a much different lifestyle than you would be living if you were just simply trading your hours for money, your time for money. So that's the argument of what busy versus productive is. I would argue that we should venture to be productive. We should venture to create something that will outlast our existence. Something our families can benefit from, something that our communities can benefit from. And even the greatest way that you're gonna make an impact on this world is create something that has a purpose in somebody else's life. Create something that serves somebody. Like food drives, clothing drives, donations of some sort, life coaching, reaching out to people, mentoring, picking up you, putting them under your wings and trying to direct them to the right path in life. Stuff like that, doing stuff like that is going to outlast you, because even when our time comes, to reach that final destination towards the goal or the destination that we're all traveling to. There's going to be somebody that you impacted their life in a meaningful way, who's going to in turn impact somebody else's life down the road in a meaningful way, thus furthering the reach that you had in this world, far beyond you actually being here. My grandfather was that for me. Even though my grandfather has passed away, the lessons that he's taught me, the instruction that he's given me, the blessings he's imparted upon me, all of that is still here. Even though it's not, material, I still have lessons and structure and a lot of great things that my grandfather gave to me. And my grandfather was paralyzed for all of my life and all of my mom's life. Interesting story to that. But I always say my grandfather did more for me from a wheelchair than any man on two legs ever did. And my grandfather was a productive person. Even though he was in a wheelchair for his entire adult life pretty much, he still was able to provide for his family. He was still able to take care of his friends and extended family members and stuff like that. And he was still contributing to society in a meaningful way. There's a lot of people's lives that my grandfather affected positively. And they spoke about that at his funeral. They stepped up and they said, Archie had this impact on my life, or Archie had that impact on my life. And it was really amazing to see how many people my grandfather reached. And I'm trying to do the same thing, times 10. I'm trying to reach, all the kids I can reach, all the teenagers I can reach, all the adults I can reach, anybody who will lend me an ear, and listen to what I have to say. Because society doesn't teach us the things we need to know. The school system is set up to create workers. It's not set up to create free thinkers and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. That largely comes apart to individuals who have those characteristics or have been taught those characteristics and obtain the education, but use that education to further their goal or their purpose that they already had in mind, beforehand. A lot of us go to college and go to school with no purpose, and a lot of these rich people and the upper class, they pass down lessons from generation to generation, so when they come into school, they're already 10 years 15 years, however many years apart, ahead of us, because they already know where they're going. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with wandering through life. Those who wander are not always lost. There's a lot to be said for somebody who's wandering. But if you have a map and you have a compass and you have a destination and goal, the journey, you can dictate the journey more so, if that makes any sense. So I'm not bashing the upper class, I'm not bashing the middle class, I'm not bashing the lower class. This has just been my experience from the life that I have lived. I digress. So, let's try to be productive in the way that we carry out our lives. Every day let's try to read a book that might give us a different idea. Every day let's try to work out so it will increase our longevity, and take place of all of those negative habits, and decrease stress. Working out and eating healthy is a great way to fight some of the ailments that you may be facing, like anxiety and stress. If you work out, that'll help in both of those areas. So let's be productive, Have a great day, everybody.